Smash Ultimate's been playing for a long time. There are many top players, there are a lot of names you may know, and when it comes to legendary players that you might have heard whispers of, but you may not quite know, there's none like ProtoBanham. His Min Min Lucina combination, even while there are other Lucina and Min Min players out there, is a masterclass, and everyone knows that he is the best of those two characters. Due to complications with his health in 2024, we have not seen him the entirety of it, and I'm curious, where would he be in today's meta? This is ProtoBanham.
Anytime he's off stage, but he says, you know what, let me give you a break and tap that ass on stage to pop off to boot, and he is your double down 2022 champion of
ProtoBanham has a very aggressive playstyle, probably the most aggressive you're going to see from generally pretty defensive characters. If there's an edge guard he will go off like the entire stage to try to hit you for, he will spend every option he has to make sure you die for it. He is amazingly good at it. Lucina, while being known as a very good character, is generally seen as one of those types that doesn't really have anything too insane, but I think ProtoBanham definitely showed that the character has one thing that is really frustrating: her airspeed. She can drift for so far to the point that if you're off stage, you probably are going to die against ProtoBanham. He knows how to dissect your recovery. I think nothing exemplifies this more than ProtoBanham's first stock against Light at top 8 of EVO. He just obliterates Light. He's very good against edgeguarding the Spaceys entirely. Even against a character like Bayonetta without a linear recovery, if he can go out there, he will. He is so aggressive off stage. That's why when he picked up Min Min, I was a bit confused until I saw him go off stage. And now you just have the range of Lucina with a lot more safety. And it makes sense. He's really good at timing the 2-frame when it comes to the mini game that Min Min has and going off stage to finish the job. He just makes the ledge feel like an impossible place to be. And there's something to be said about that. Being aggressive with extremely easy to be defensive characters like Lucina and Min Min definitely caught a lot of people off guard, and it shows that he can be very flexible and adaptable to the situation if he needs to be. His matchup coverage is actually pretty good with the two characters. He can deal with Steve with different playstyles with both of the characters, and Game & Watch, while I think does pretty good against Min Min, does have a bit of annoyance when it comes to fighting Lucina. Sonic might be the only struggle matchup for the both of them, since Lucina definitely gets outpaced by Sonic's speed, and Min Min does get edgeguard and comboed pretty hard, but I think that they're both doable enough matchups that Proto can just use his top player skills to deal with them. When it comes to everyone else, they have a really good matchup spread. Min Min destroys any mid-tiers that Lucina might find annoying, Min Min destroys any heavies Lucina might find annoying, and then Lucina destroys any stubby characters that might get in on Min Min. It's a pretty good spread. The only real characters I feel like that would be randomly hard are like Meta Knight and Sheik. Sheik being one of the better characters to actually combo Min Min to death and very good at keeping the pressure up on her. It's very hard for Min Min to deal with Sheik pressure without having very good close combat options, since up smash does still get shielded by a lot of Sheik stuff. And Meta Knight, due to how floaty Lucina is, can get really amazing combos that will just kill Lucina at low percents. The same thing with Min Min, except now you have an edge guarding tool. So Meta Knight and Sheik can be pretty obnoxious, I'd say, but they're so rare and not that easy that you probably wouldn't have to worry about it if you were to be a Lucina Min Min player, unless you're fighting super top players. Overall, the beauty of the matchup chart is that he can just switch between the two really good characters, even if they do good in one matchup. If he doesn't really like how it's going, he can just swap between them. It's a very strong co-main that I think people should look towards if they're ever trying to co-main themselves. When it comes to his major wins, he has quite a bit to his name. Kaguribi 4 was a big one where he beat Zachary in Grands. He has Mesuma top 6 losing to Hero in Winners, but beat Hikaru, Yoshidora, Hero in Losers, and Altair twice. He of course has his legendary run at Double Down 2022, beating Jake, Ken, and MK Leo twice. This was peak MK Leo, by the way. And then of course he has his legendary run at Smash Ultimate Summit 5, beating Spargo, Riddles, Cola, and Light in Grand Finals. Of all his wins, I think the Smash Ultimate Summit 5 one was definitely the biggest one. Of course beating MK Leo and his peak is fantastic, but beating Spargo, Riddles, Cola, and Light is not something to sleep on. It is crazy. But if we're going to try to figure out how he would do today, I think we should go to his last 4 events that he entered and see how he did. At Smash Ultimate 6, he got 5th place beating Tweak, Big D and Aaron in the Gauntlet stage, and beat Riddles in the final bracket, but lost to Tweak and Akola 3-2 in the final bracket. Still a pretty good showing for how stacked this tournament was, but we did expect him to win. At Meisuma top 13, he got 7th beating Kurage and Perseraman, losing to Dormigi and Kameme, who did a great showing with Sora this tournament, showing that Sora could actually do something in this meta. At Kagaribi 11th, he got his worst result yet with his 25th, beating Kameme in the run back, but losing to Yara, the Dark Samus, and Flo, the Roy. And finally, we have Taisute 2, where he got first, defeating her in a nail-biting game 10 grands, which was a pretty great tournament to win. With all these tournaments in mind, it's hard to really place him, but he'd probably be around top 30 or 40 if I were to just guess with these results. He still beat a good amount of top players, but did lose to a lot of players too, so it's hard to say. Alright, and now for the most opinionated section of the video, how I think ProtoBanham would do versus certain top players. Let's go into pretty much the ones that I think are near top 10. First, Spargo. I think the matchups that Spargo has to do with when it comes to fighting Min Min is very frustrating, and I think ProtoBanham has a very good chance at just beating Spargo again. It was pretty close last time they played, I'm pretty sure, at the Ultimate Summit, but I do think that I would favor ProtoBanham over him just because of how annoying Min Min Cloud and Min Min Pyramithra are. Those are the characters that Spargo has to play. It definitely feels like Min Min will always put Cloud in that mini game that he might just die at 10 if he's wrong, and while I do think Spargo has the mind to beat it, I think it's still in ProtoBanham's favor. And even if the Min Min doesn't work, Lucina still does very good against his characters, even though I think Proto will probably go Min Min. Versus Mia might be more in Mia's favor. I'm pretty sure they have never played an actual bracket, but they did a first to 10 at some point, and it was very, very close. I just think when it comes to the matchups themselves, that Mia has a better chance just because he's so good against Lucina, and Proto's Lucina, while still very, very strong, probably is going to struggle. It's not a very weird matchup. I don't know who would actually go though. I think Min Min does fine into Game & Watch, but just getting edge guarded is really obnoxious, and Game & Watch has a way to weave in between your arms a good amount and beat it with other moves. I'm excited to watch this more than any other set. I think this is going to be the closest one of any of the top players, but I would probably favor Mia. I think it's fair for me to say that Proto is favored against Hurt, not only because he's beaten him a good amount of times, but just because I think Min Min does pretty much beat Snake. I think the arms just destroy grenades, really mess up his own flowchart that he wants, and Snake's disadvantage is just really abusable for Min Min. I still think there is stuff Snake can do. There's always stuff Snake can do. Snake is a top tier after all, and he still can edge guards Min Min, which is pretty good, but I think it's just favored in ProtoBanham's favor right now. I just hope that if we're going to see this matchup again, it's on the grand stage, probably in winners finals, but who knows. Honestly, these tournaments have gotten so hard that you could probably see them as a qualifier for top 8. That's just how stacked these things are. As I talked about before, Light Proto did happen at Ultimate Summit 5, and Proto did win the entire tournament, but Light did take a set 3-0, so this is going to be a really close one. I think matchups-wise, these are fine for Fox. I do think Min Min Fox is probably even, and Lucina Fox is probably even, though I think Light thinks that Lucina beats Fox. Getting edge guarding is very tough, and you're fighting ProtoBanham, who will destroy you for doing it. But it was interesting. When you watch the set, you could see Proto switching between Min Min and Lucina a good amount. Not really sure who he wanted to go. Maybe he was trying to mix up Light with different just styles and different understandings of the game. It's really cool to watch someone play a co-main so confidently and just be able to switch so fluidly like Proto can. This probably is going to be a set like that. And I think Light has gotten a lot better since this last set that they played, so we'll see in 2025 if Proto does come back and feel better, what the new Light will be, the Light that likes to use laser a lot more to force approaches, the Light that throws aerials a ton more instead of just dash attacks. I'm excited. I did talk about in the video that I think Sonic is a struggle matchup for both of the characters that Proto plays, and I think Sonic's would be in the favor of beating Proto, but it's been so long since they last played that I'm not really sure how it's gonna go. I think Sonics would probably win. I think the matchup could be very frustrating. But Min Min is that type of character that can still take 0% and take you to 80 with some silly combos. Not even silly combos, really frame traps and just forcing you to tech. This character just does a ton of damage out of nowhere. So it's not so hard for her that Sonic demolishes her, but I think Sonics has just become number 1 or 2 in the world, and probably number three in the world. So we'll see how the new developed Sonics does against Proto. I think his Vanish State has just improved so much, and his neutral has gotten so much trickier that Proto might not be ready for it. But I'm just gonna probably vote for Sonics each time. So Akola does have Steve to just beat both of the characters that Proto is playing. I think Min Min technically does better, but it's hard to really see him go Min Min. I think he usually goes Lucina in the matchup. I think it's Akola favored overall. Steve is pretty broken, and Akola is very good with the character. If you don't really play a character that demolishes Steve with combos, I think Steve always just has a way to come back, since he always can camp for better tools to make it easier to fight you. And the better the tools get, the easier the arms are to deal with, and the more damage that he does to Lucina. But, you know, who knows? I am excited to watch this set a lot. Akola still is dominant, maybe not going as crazy because of how many great players there are, but I still think he is very dominant in Japan. So Proto's gonna have to run into him one day or another when he comes back, and I will be there to watch. Honestly, yeah, head-to-head wise, it definitely feels like Proto has a good shot at beating a good amount of the top 10 since he has before. He might just find himself being there just because of that, but we'll see when he comes back. I think it's fair to say that with a lot of his focus going towards his health that he needs to, fix up, that we aren't going to get peak ProtoBanham anytime soon. I think that at his peak, he was a top 10 player in the world. I think the only ranking he actually got was him being number 10, but everyone knew ProtoBanham can defeat anyone in the world. He is incredible. He is amazing. We'll see how he develops as a player. If he ever comes back, I'm excited to watch him more. His aggression, his style is something that I don't think any Lucina or Min Min will replicate, and he shows how crazy they will be. We do have some top Min Mins now with Doramigi still putting in work, but I know that if he comes back, he's going to be incredible.